Right now on the National Weather Desk, wildfire season. It's been a very busy year in some states.
And flames could be seen from downtown Salt Lake City.
Extreme heat continues out west. We'll see how firefighters beat the heat while wearing all of that heavy equipment.
With the increased temperatures and humidity, it's really tough on firefighters.
The heat can also have a big impact on your medication.
When they are exposed to much higher temperatures, they're at risk for degradation as well.
Many animals impacted by Hurricane BERYL are now in need of help.
Their nests from all the flooding were actually washing up into people's yards.
And why your home thermometer and your local official temperature don't always match.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
And good morning, everyone, and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. 2 fires burning in Southern California have destroyed several homes and led to evacuation orders. The largest of those fires is in Riverside, where more than 500 acres have burned. At least 3 homes are gone. More than 2,500 people have been told to leave their homes. So far, there are no serious injuries. Firefighters believe illegal fireworks sparked the fire. And while in Utah, this is also shaping up to be a busy wildfire season. There have been already nearly 600 total fires compared to that last year when there were 800 fires reported all year. The most recent fire is the so-called Sandhurst fire. Lincoln Graves was there over the weekend.
It did not take long for state firefighting coordinators to scramble a significant number of firefighting resources to battle this. It became known as the Sandhurst fire. It was kicking up a lot of smoke, and flames could be seen from downtown Salt Lake City. The quick and overwhelming response by fire crews really made a difference, though, and right now, crews are feeling optimistic. They also say the weather has helped.
We do have a good control of the fire. One thing that's in our advantage is just the weather, and the wind has sort of mellowed out, which we anticipated with the sun setting and the temperatures changing, that the wind would start shifting or staying neutral in our favor.
And we are happy to report that overnight all evacuation orders for the Sandhurst fire were lifted. Residents are urged, though, to remain vigilant and be prepared to evacuate again if the flames start moving back towards their homes. Now, dangerous heat continues to bake portions of the western United States. But the good news here is that the number of people under heat alerts is now dropping. Today, just 27 million Americans from Washington state to Southern California are facing excessive heat. It's going to be 108 degrees in Fresno, 110 in Phoenix, and 111 degrees in Las Vegas. Those temperatures make it tough to work outside, especially if you are a firefighter. Andrew McClung shows us the precautions North Carolina firefighters are taking.
When the call comes out, firefighters in Greenville must always be ready to go.
Yeah, this time of year with the increased temperatures and humidity, it's really tough on firefighters.
It can mean battling a fire that's over 1,000 degrees and 90-degree heat, with gear adding around an extra 80 pounds of weight to firefighters.
Obviously, the gear we wear is made to protect us, but at the same time, it's really hot to work in.
Dr. Rochelle Asagbro with ECU Health says that's why staying hydrated is a top priority for firefighters.
So we want to make sure that you're getting plenty of fluids, and that can involve anywhere from like 8 to 10 glasses of water a day.
Greenville Fire Captain Eric Smith says hydration is a top priority each day for firefighters.
We discussed hydrating properly each morning in our roll call meetings.
Captain Smith says fridges are stocked with water and ice, as well as on fire trucks. And for when firefighters are out on calls, they have another option as well.
The city has repurposed a transit bus, and we use that for our rehabilitation bus. That's mobile. We can get it to where we need it, where the firefighters are working. We have air conditioning, a place to sit down. We have water, Gatorade, things like that to rehydrate.
Well, it took nearly 2 weeks, but everyone in Texas who lost power following Hurricane BERYL finally has it back. Over the weekend, CenterPoint Energy said it restored power to all customers. At the peak, though, more than 2 million customers were without power after BERYL made landfall on July 8th. The storm also took a toll on thousands of birds. Trevor Gay shows us how a colony of egrets is now being nursed back to health.
These are some of the 100 egrets that came from the Houston area after Hurricane BERYL made landfall on July 9th.
So their nests from all the flooding were actually washing up into people's yards, and they would find hundreds of egrets there. A lot of them didn't make it.
The ones that did were flown to Amarillo.
Get some pilots that donated their time and fuel to fly down there, pick them up.
Stephanie Brady, the founder and executive director of Wild West Wildlife Rehabilitation Center, says the egrets were emaciated and the majority of them were infected with parasites.
They have to be pulled out. They have to be treated with fluids.
These small birds are big eaters, at the moment eating up to 6,000 to 8,000 insects a day.
That's crickets, mealworms, minnows. So yeah, they're big eaters, and I think that will calm down a little bit, hopefully to around the 4,000 range. But right now they're just starving.
Brady says the egrets will be in their care for another 3 to 4 weeks. They'll be working with a state biologist to see if the birds will stay here permanently.
And see what they recommend, if they would rather us take them back down there to do a release with the others, or if they have an area they know of here in the Panhandle where a lot of them congregate, that we can release them there and then they can fly with those guys.
If you have an at-home thermometer, you have probably noticed the temperature there doesn't always match the temperature your local meteorologist has. There is a reason here. Meteorologist Chris Suchan explains.
You might have noticed during these hot summer months that the temperature you have at home is a lot hotter than the official observation where you live. And there are some pretty good reasons why that might be happening. I'm meteorologist Chris Suchan to break down some of the possibilities. First of all, average house, let's say the temperature is 97 degrees on your home thermometer, and the official reading is 89. Well, first thing here is you might have that thermometer getting into some direct sunshine. That obviously can contaminate the temperature, give it a boost. We always record that temperature in shade. The dark colors around your thermometer absorb more heat. The official observation, it's white paint that is used, which reduces heat absorption. And then it's also in a Stevenson box, or with the use of Stevenson screens, venting to allow airflow in. And it's about 4 feet above the ground. And that thermometer around your house could be near other homes or concrete or blacktop that can add radiant heat to skew your temperature here. So make sure if you're running a lot hotter than that official observation that you're seeing, do a couple of checks there just to make sure it's in a good spot, away from dark colors, and preferably in shade.
And as we mentioned earlier, the excessive heat is now focused on the West. That means the rest of the country is finally able to enjoy summer outdoors without worrying about uncomfortable heat. Wisconsin meteorologist Christian Palacio has more.
On a mild midsummer day in northeast Wisconsin, people are taking advantage of the weather at Voyager Park.
I like the cooler air, definitely when there's a nice cool breeze and some shade. Yes, we were definitely out and about. We went on a bike ride and did some paddleboarding.
Others agree this is much better than a hot and muggy afternoon.
I'm originally from Texas, so this weather is very nice in July. I hate the humidity. It's one reason why I love to live in Wisconsin.
On Friday the 12th through Monday the 15th, those days were pretty warm with the highs in the upper 80s, near 90 for some spots. But when you factor in the dew point temperatures being in the low to mid 70s, it was also very humid. As a result, it gave us heat index values in the 90s during much of the afternoon hours for Sunday and Monday. Dew points have been sitting in the 50s for the last couple of days, and temperatures have been sitting in the 70s to low 80s, so we can neglect the heat index for now.
And did you catch a glimpse of this weekend's full moon? Meteorologist Chloe Coach shows us what makes this month's moon special.
And it's actually known as the full buck moon. Yes, you heard that correctly. And this is all according to the Farmer's Almanac. So it gets its name because of the length of the buck's antlers that are fully grown in July usually. It's also known as the salmon moon for when salmon migrate up rivers to spawn, specifically the sockeye salmon. It's also been called the thunder moon because of the number of thunderstorms that happen this time of the year in the month of July. Now you know, and no matter what you call it, it's a beautiful sight to see.
And now let's check to see the weather in cities across the country today. We begin in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, where there is considerable cloudiness, occasional rain showers this afternoon with a high of 80. And a look there at New Orleans, where thunderstorms are in the forecast for today's high in the mid-80s. And now to St. Paul, Minnesota, where things start off foggy this morning. Scattered showers and thunderstorms with a high this afternoon of 82. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll look at why the weather is forcing West Virginia fishermen to fish at night, and we'll help you better understand storm surge.
I'm meteorologist Ryan Munn. As we get a look at the Northeast through the day on Monday, overall it looks very, very nice for many areas all throughout New England. We are going to see some rain start to develop during the afternoon and evening down towards parts of Pennsylvania, New Jersey as well. That'll slowly move on up to the north, and then we are going to see a round of rain for areas up towards the north through the day on Tuesday, with high temperatures for the daytime today topping out in the 80s for most.
I'm meteorologist Jasmine Lomax with a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. The day begins with dry weather, but that changes as we make our way into the afternoon. There will be a storm front to our south. Around much of the region, we're talking storms, some of which could lead to areas of heavy rain. The rain continues off and on as a low-pressure system moves toward New England, so make sure that you have the umbrellas handy. Temperatures will reach the 70s and 80s before cooling down to the 60s and 70s overnight.
I'm meteorologist Vetus Reed. Here's a look at your southeast forecast highs for the day. It looks like we're seeing temperatures in Nashville, 87 degrees, 90 in Tupelo, Atlanta right around 84 degrees, 90 in Charleston, hot one in Jacksonville at 92, even hotter over in Tampa at 94 degrees. A lot of heat and humidity across parts of the southeast. We'll see spotty showers as we go through the afternoon. Some sunshine breaking through, but you can see by 3 o'clock a few spotty showers across the Tennessee Valley as well as the Carolinas down through Florida. Afternoon showers and thunderstorms possible.
Presented by the National Weather Desk.
Let's talk rainbows. This is known as a fire rainbow, but it's technically a circumhorizontal arc. It's formed by the refraction of sunlight and ice crystals suspended in the air. This rainbow may seem incomplete, but there's a good reason. It won't reach the ground until the rain reaches the ground. And double rainbows like this form when sunlight is reflected twice within the same raindrop.
Want to see your weather photos and videos on TV? Click Chime In on this station's website to share.
Well, last week marked 5 years since a major storm slammed northern Green Bay. There were significant impacts on residents and also the local timber industry. Eric Peterson spoke with people who were in the storm's path and found some cleanup efforts are still taking place.
All these roads were just trees everywhere, just trees. And so you could literally take 5 steps and you had to step over a tree.
Annette Early says she was camping at Chute Pond County Park near Mountain when the storm hit.
It took a while just to get to the highway because the highway they had cleared and there were crews working to get people out.
Oconto County Forest Parks and Recreation Administrator Monty Brink says the storm raced through the Northwoods, damaging hundreds of thousands of acres of trees as well. He says selling damaged timber, replanting new trees, or just letting stands come back naturally are starting to show progress. He says 80,000 red pine trees are growing in this 80-acre plot south of Mountain.
So hopefully in 30 years we'll be doing timber sales again.
Back to the campground, another popular attraction damaged in the storm has returned.
The big project was a footbridge at Chute Pond that goes over the Oconto River. That leads from the campsite to Slippery Rock. There's a lot of hoops to jump through to get that back in place, but that was something the campers wanted.
Thank goodness it's fixed now because it's very nice. It's nice to have that beautiful bridge there. Again, kids fish off of it. I know my family's been a part of that bridge for years and years.
With several parts of the U.S. under extreme heat threats, experts warn that those hot temperatures can damage medications and also ramp up side effects of many common medications. Jeff Harris spoke with experts to find out which medications are the most at risk.
Madeline Furch is a clinical pharmacy specialist at the University of Cincinnati Medical Center. She tells us extreme heat affects medications that are refrigerated the most because it makes them degrade faster.
Because they're supposed to be typically kept in a much cooler environment.
But she says extreme heat also poses a threat to liquids and tablets.
So when they are exposed to much higher temperatures, they're at risk for degradation as well.
But that's not all. Extreme heat could also affect certain weight loss drugs.
It depends on how long those exposed, but those medications would be at risk too, for sure.
A professor in the School of Pharmacy at the University of Connecticut, C. Michael White, tells us extreme heat might also impact how you respond to certain medications like beta blockers.
Because they help to reduce blood pressure, and the way that they reduce blood pressure, they also increase the risk that people would pass out more.
So he recommends never leaving your medications outside, and if they're getting delivered, make sure you're home.
Tracking it so you know when it's going to come, and you can go out and meet the delivery person and be able to pick up your medication right then.
In West Virginia, the heat is not only a problem for people, it's also an issue for fish. As meteorologist Brandon Stover found out, local fishing groups are waiting until the sun goes down, hoping that cooler temperatures will lead to a great catch.
Fish are just like most of us. They like it cooler with some shade. Even warm water species like bass aren't a fan of the blistering sun.
Fish don't have eyelids, so when the sun's out like it has been this last month, it's difficult on them to chase prey, and the water's so warm and the sun's hot.
You guys are 5, right? Okay. This is why a new fishing tournament at Burnsville Lake has been starting in the evening.
The lake temperature here gets so warm. I mean, we're looking at like 86-degree water temperature. And if you try to have a bass tournament here all day long, it's very difficult keeping fish alive. And that's the main thing is keeping the fish alive.
Daniel and his wife bought the marina a few years ago. It started with a crappie tournament, but the bass crew came calling. On this evening, at least for a day, it felt a little like fall behind a strong cold front. Some pretty nice bass were reeled in despite the rising air pressure, which is thought by some to make it harder to fish. Smith said you can learn a lot from some experienced anglers.
And most of the people that are here are going to be interested in sitting around talking and passing on advice.
Catching a fish is just the cherry on top.
Have you ever heard of a lunar halo? Meteorologist Dante Ricky explains what they are and why it may bring an important warning along with it.
It's always a nice sight to see a full moon in the night sky. I was able to grab this picture, indeed with some cloud cover and a very colorful ring around it. That ring is called a lunar halo. An old legend has it that lunar halos are usually a sign of bad weather on the way to come. In fact, that statement is partially true. Cirrus and cirrostratus clouds form at 13,000 feet and higher altitudes. That happens because warmer air rises into a very cold, frigid layer of the atmosphere. This indicates that a low pressure or storm system will be on the way shortly. The moonlight, though, from the visible moon travels through ice crystals within these clouds, which are extremely cold. And as that light goes through the clouds, it is bent at a specific 22-degree angle. We call this bending process refraction. And as a result of that, that bending is what results in that lunar halo that you can see with your eyes on the ground. The process produces the same vivid colors that can be seen in a sundog or sun halo from a different wavelengths of light. But since the moon is not as bright, it's more difficult to see those colors with the naked eye unless you have a perfect viewing angle and just the right conditions as well.
And right now we're in the middle of hurricane season. Strong winds and heavy rain can be dangerous, but one of the deadliest things that comes with hurricanes is storm surge. Meteorologist Jennifer Collins explains why it's simply so dangerous.
Hurricanes bring many impacts in the way of wind, rain to storm surge. And when we talk about storm surge, it's the actual push of water onshore from an approaching tropical system. And it's the sea level rise above normal tide levels. Now, if a storm surge approaches at high tide, we'll actually see worse effects for many coastal communities. A 6-foot storm surge will actually reach above normal dry ground and can actually work its way inland. A 12-foot storm surge will actually reach the first established level of many homes and businesses, and crashing waves on top of that is when we start to see structural damage occur. There's many factors to storm surge, and the most important includes the shape of a coastline. A faster moving storm can actually produce a higher storm surge along an open coastline. We're talking barrier islands. Meanwhile, a slower moving storm can actually produce a higher storm surge for bays and inlets as the water gradually builds in these areas, and it doesn't really have anywhere to go other than into rivers, inlets, or canals. And there's many other slight changes that can occur with a storm that can change what type of storm surge we'll see, whether it's the intensity of a storm. Major hurricanes bring a higher storm surge, as well as the path or direction of an actual storm.
And before a short break, let's take flight over California's Weaver Lake.
Good Monday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. A little cooler over the past several days here, but as we head into the start of the work week, we do have scattered showers and thunderstorms across the Midwest with high temperatures in the 70s and 80s. Not really seeing many 90s on the map for the day today. But as we get into the day tomorrow, got a few spots in the 90s out across the West, but scattered showers and storms across the Great Lakes in the Ohio Valley, and a little less rain, but still some as we get into your Wednesday. Have a great Monday.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Rebecca Stevenson. Here's what's happening across the West. We're cooling down in the Pacific Northwest. Slowly but surely, that's moving inland. Still hot in places for California and Nevada and even in parts of Arizona. But our next weather maker's moving in. We've got the monsoon moisture coming up through Mexico and also from the Gulf of Mexico. We've got these showers and thunderstorms developing from the monsoonal moisture, threatening some flash flooding around the area. That's the scene from here.
The National Weather Desk.
Clouds can come in many different forms, and sometimes people confuse scud clouds with twisters or even funnels. Meteorologist Teresa Carter explains why they look so familiar.
When severe weather enters your area, ominous clouds can fill the sky. A lot of times we will receive false reports of funnel clouds due to a low-lying cloud called a scud cloud. The term scud is actually an acronym standing for scattered cumulus under deck. Scud clouds can be caused by rising humid air that evaporates before reaching the main cloud due to mixing with dry air. These clouds are just smaller bits of condensation that aren't attached to the higher layers of cumulonimbus storm clouds, and they do not rotate, which is the biggest difference between a scud cloud and a funnel cloud. While they look ominous, scud clouds are harmless and do not produce severe weather.
And you know, we'd love to share your weather content on the air. You can find us on your favorite social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, X. Search the National Weather Desk. We'll be right back. And thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great Monday, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.